Okay, today we are going to start with Unit 6. Look at your books on page 82. Look at the title, what they said. So you realize here we are going to repeat what others said. Look at the goals of the lesson or the lesson objectives. Here the students will be able to compare the different reporting styles, match words with their meanings, practice using reported speech, correct some information about the reports. I think you had studied, the reported speech before. Now look here. Have you listened to the news recently? Sure. What kind of news do you hear? Hmm.
Answer.
Sport news.
Yes,
About politics.
politics, maybe, sports, entertainment, jokes, health, series, science, weather.
Cook.
Yes, sometimes. Okay. Now what do we have in the first picture here? Yes, Adnan.
Reporter.
Yes, a reporter. Yes, good. Here, maybe a candidate, politician, wanted to get for, to be in the elections. What do we have here in the third picture?
A weather reporter or news reporter.
Good. Talking about an accident, about the weather, etc. What do we have in the next picture? Yes, Leah.
Talking about health.
Good. Maybe about, the healthy food, junk food. Here we have a doctor talking about, the healthy food. Good, thank you. Maybe here we have an interview talking about, the last one about the space, etc. Now again, here we are going to listen to, interviews. Then we will talk together again about, the subject that we are going to explain, a reported speech. Listen, but before we have to share the audio. Yes. Listen, please.
And now, we would like to bring you the news of the day.
I would build a sports complex, and I will not raise taxes.
The candidate for mayor said he would build a sports complex, and he would not raise taxes.
The powerful storm last night knocked down many trees, and some areas of the city are still without power.
The on-the-scene reporter said that the powerful storm the night before had knocked down many trees, and some areas of the city were still without power.
According to recent studies, pomegranate juice is healthy because it lowers blood pressure, and pumpkin seeds seem to improve memory.
The doctor said that, according to recent studies, pomegranate juice was healthy because it lowered blood pressure, and pumpkin seeds seemed to improve memory.
Professor Marvin, does intelligent life exist elsewhere in the universe?
No, there isn't intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. The positive proof is that no other life form has bothered to make contact with us.
The interviewer asked the professor if intelligent life existed elsewhere in the universe. The professor answered that there wasn't intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. He said that the positive proof was that no other life form had bothered to make contact with us.
Mr. Hollyfield, can you tell us about the results of the exam?
They scanned my head and found nothing.
The interviewer asked Mr. Hollyfield, the famous TV presenter, if he could tell us about the results of his exam. He replied that the doctors had scanned his head and had found nothing.
Okay. You realize that here we have people are talking directly, and we have another one reported their words, reported their speech. So you will realize that we are going to talk about direct speech when we talk directly, or others talk directly, especially, you know, the words, you know, in bubbles here, and the one who reported their words. Look at the first one. This is, you know, the announcer or the reporter, whatever. Listen. Listen again.
I would build a sports complex, and I will not raise taxes.
The candidate for mayor said he would build a sports complex and he would not raise taxes.
You realize here we have what? We have direct speech. Someone, you know, talks to us directly. These, his words. I will build a sports complex and I will not raise taxes. Now, if you want to report his words to others, you want to talk to your friend about what did he say. How can you, you know, report his words? Adnan?
I would say that the candidate said he will build a sports complex and not raise taxes.
Good. So here we have reported speech. These words, which are said directly, we call them what? Direct speech. Now, when we report his words, we called it what? Reported speech. Here we have to do some certain, you know, procedures for reporting speech. We have to change, you know, the tenses and the pronouns. Instead of will, we have to put what? Would. Look here. I will build here he. Now, if you want to report, we can say he. He said he would build. So in reporting speech, we have to change will into would. I will not raise. He said he would not raise. Now, if you want to report sentences, to report other words, okay, we have to take in our consideration some rules for doing that. First, you have to change the tenses. You have to change the pronouns. He, I, he. I, maybe she. We, they, and so on. Now, what did the candidate for mayor promise? He promised not to what? To build what? He promised to build, you know, sport complex and, you know, not to raise what? Taxes. Why do you think he promised this? To win the elections, I think. Yes, to gain votes. Okay. What do you mean by candidate? Yeah.
An answer?
Yes.
A person trying to gain votes.
Good. Person who applies for a job or wants to be elected to a particular position. Good. Okay, now here we have another situation. Here we have, you know, the reporter on the scene reporter talking, you know, directly about, you know, the weather, I think, the powerful storm. Look at his original words. Listen.
The powerful storm last night knocked down many trees, and some areas of the city are still without power.
The on-the-scene reporter said that the powerful storm the night before had knocked down many trees, and some areas of the city were still without power.
Okay, who can read, the reporter's words, the original words?
Can you read?
Adnan?
Okay. The powerful storm last night knocked down many trees, and some areas of the city are still without power.
So here we have someone reported his words. Someone reported his words. Who can read, the reported speech? Diya?
The
What
on
did
the
the
the on the
reporter
scene
say?
reporter said that the powerful storm the night before had knocked down many trees, and some areas of the city were still without power.
Good. So here, these are the original, let us say, words. This is what do we call by direct speech, and here we have the reported speech. Someone reported his words. The reporter said that the powerful storm the night before had knocked. Knocked down is simple past. So here, if you want to report, we have to change it into past perfect. Had knocked. And if the sentence is in the present, simple present, we have to change it into simple past. If you want to report, so you have to change, the tenses. You have to change the pronouns. You have to change let us say, the time expressions. For example, if we have the word yesterday, we have to say the day before. The next week, the week after, and so on. Now, then, this, that. These are expressions must be changed in reported speech. How much damage did the storm cause? If you look at the picture, I think we have a lot of damage. Yes, a lot of damage. What do you mean by reporter? Who can read about the reporter? What does it mean, reporter? Anwar? Are you here, Anwar?
Someone whose job
Yes.
is to tell people about news events on TV or the radio.
Good. Someone whose job is to tell people about the news events on TV or the radio. Good, thank you. Now let's move to the third situation, talking about, the healthy food. Here we have a doctor. Listen, then we will ask you to read.
According to recent studies, pomegranate juice is healthy because it lowers blood pressure, and pumpkin seeds seem to improve memory.
The doctor said that, according to recent studies, pomegranate juice was healthy because it lowered blood pressure, and pumpkin seeds seemed to improve memory.
Okay, now what did the doctor say? What did the doctor say?
Can I answer?
Adnan?
He said that according to recent studies, pomegranate juice is healthy because it lowers blood pressure, and pumpkin seeds help improve memory.
Good. So the doctor said that, according to recent studies, pomegranate juice was healthy because it, lowered the blood pressure, and pumpkin seeds seem to improve memory. Now, what about, the doctor's words, the original, doctor's words? Who can read? Diya?
According to recent studies, pomegranate juice is healthy because it lowers blood pressure, and pumpkin seeds seem to improve memory.
Good. Now, if you want to report his words, we have to take in our consideration the tenses. Look here, is became what? Was. Lower, change into what? Simple past. Then simple present, change into simple past. Seem, seemed. Now, when we report, we have to change the tenses. Simple present, directly change into past. Simple past, change into past perfect. Present perfect, change into past perfect. Will, would, can, could, and so on. Now, who can read the question? Yes, Anwar, what did the doctor recommend
What does
to
the
lower
doctor
blood
recommend to
pressure?
lower blood pressure?
Read the answer.
Pomegranate juice.
Good. pomegranate juice. What did the doctor say? Pumpkin seeds were good for? They are good for what? Improving your what? Memory. Okay, so this is about, the third situation. Now let's move to the next page, another, situation here. Listen.
Professor Marvin, does intelligent life exist elsewhere in the universe?
No, there isn't intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. The positive proof is that no other life form has bothered to make contact with us.
The interviewer asked the professor if intelligent life existed elsewhere in the universe. The professor answered that there wasn't intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. He said that the positive proof was that no other life form had bothered to make contact with us.
You realize here, the reporter ask a question. Sometimes, we can what? We can report the questions. Professor, who can read, the conversation, the original one? Anwar? Anwar, Professor Marvin.
Okay.
Does intelligent life exist?
Professor Marvin,
Yes.
does intelligent life exist elsewhere in the universe? No, there
Good.
isn't intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. The positive proof is that no other life form has bothered to make contact with us.
Good. Now we can ask you a question. What did, they talk about? Can you repeat their words? What did the interviewer ask the professor? Adnan, what did the interviewer ask the professor? Now we can read. Yes, the interviewer.
The interviewer asked the professor if intelligent life existed somewhere in the universe.
Good. Another question. What did he answer? What did the professor answer? Yes, Diya.
Complete.
The professor answered that there wasn't intelligent life elsewhere in the universe.
What else did he say? He said that the positive proof
was that no other life from a form had bothered to make contact with us.
Good. You realize here, even here we have a question we can change into reported speech. If the question is yes, no question, we have to put if. Now we can ask, for example, are you Ahmed? He asked me if I was Ahmed. If the question is yes, no question, we have to put what? If. The interviewer asked the professor if intelligent life existed. Again, here we have simple present, change into simple past. And he answered what? And instead of saying isn't, here wasn't. He said that the positive was, is, was. So here again, we change what? The simple present into simple past. If there is simple past, we change it into past perfect. If there is, present perfect, like here, has bothered, we change it into past perfect. Okay. Proof. What does it mean, proof? Fact. Anwar, read. Fact or a piece of information.
A fact or a piece of information which shows that something is true.
Good. In other words, evidence. Bothered or all space, including what? All the stars and what? Universe. Universe, all space, including all the stars and the planets. This is, the universe. Okay, the last, I think, the last conversation. Listen.
Mr. Hollyfield, can you tell us about the results of the exam?
They scanned my head and found nothing.
The interviewer asked Mr. Hollyfield, the famous TV presenter, if he could tell us about the results of his exam. He replied that the doctors had scanned his head and had found nothing.
Okay, you realize here we have a question with what? with can. Can you tell us about the results of the exam? The interviewer asked Mr. Hollyford, the famous TV presenter, if he could. Here we have a question, yes, no question, so we have to put if. And can change into could. If he could tell us about the results of his exam. You know, what did he answer? He answered, or he replied, that the doctors, here we have what? Simple past. Simple past must be changed into past perfect. That the doctors had scanned his head and had found the same. Here we have simple past, change into past perfect. Had found nothing. Okay, who can read? Yes, Adnan, read the conversation up above here.
Okay. Mr. Holyfield, can you tell us about the results of the exam? He scanned my head and found nothing.
Good. Who can read the reported speech? The
The
interviewer.
interviewer asked Mr. Holyfield, the famous TV presenter, if he could tell us about the results of his exam. He replied that the doctors had scanned his head and found nothing.
Thank you. Now, what is funny in the conversation with Mr. Holyfield? He intended to say that the doctor found no problems with his head or brain, but instead he said that they saw nothing in his head. And his reply have a different meaning that makes it funny. What is it? That he has no brain. Yes. Now move to the quick check, exercise A. We are going to match the words and the meanings.
Can I answer?
Yes, yes, Adnan. What does it mean?
Prove. Evidence, C.
Good. Evidence. Number 2. Yes, Anwar.
Candidate means a person trying to be elected.
Good. Candidate, person trying to be what, elected. D. Diya.
Scan means B, get an image with a computer.
Yes, good. Get an image with the computer. Number 4. You can try. Yes, Adnan.
Bother.
Yes.
A, make the effort.
Good. Better, make the effort. Also, we have another meaning for better, to irritate someone. Don't, sorry for bothering you. Sorry. Now let's move to the comprehension. Answering according to the situations. Yes, we have to write true or false. Number 1. Yalla, Anwar.
Okay, true or false. The candidate said that he wouldn't raise taxes. True.
Yes. Good. Number 2, Diya.
The doctor said that the pumpkin seeds helped fight cancer. False.
Not, cancers, just, improve your what? Your memory. So it is false. Good. Number 3, Adnan.
The professor said that there is no life on other planets because no one had contacted us. True.
Professor said. Yes, number 4. Yalla.
Mr. Holiday told the interview this had Dexter hadn't find and they were
yes, and it wrong with the
true.
Good. Mr. Holyfield told the interviewer that the doctors hadn't found anything wrong with him. Good. So this is about exercise B. Okay, here we have some sentences. Restate these sentences into the past. Change into past. Who can do the first one? Yes, yeah. He plays football.
He played football.
Good. In the past, he played football. Adnan, read and change into past.
She lives in Paris now. She lived in Paris ago, 2 years ago.
Good. Last year, etc. She lived in Paris. Good, thank you. Now listen to the pair word, then we will stop. Okay.
What did the reporter ask the professor?
He asked him if there was intelligent life elsewhere in the universe.
Okay. Now let's stop here and go to your homework.